Little rock scrambling. No big deal. Oh. I nearly burned down my tent. Hi everyone. Welcome to another adventure. This is the first adventure of spring 2026. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of bad weather. So it's been a while. So I'm super excited to be out today. It's a beautiful day. Started out really cold, but we're almost up to close to 50 degrees. There's a little cool, slightly cold breeze. So I can feel it. I'm slightly cold, but I know that pretty soon I'm gonna be equalized with the temperature and I won't be cold anymore. So, you know, they say it's always best to start a little cold so you can equalize your temperature. So I'm actually packing one of the lightest loads that I've had in a very long time. I'm back to the one-person lunar solo today, which takes next to no space in my backpack. So I have a very light load. I expect to find some water pretty close to where I'm going to today, hopefully. So stay tuned. Welcome to spring 2026. So I'm testing a couple of things for this trip. Since I'm carrying a very small load, I can experiment a little bit. I didn't want to bring too many things. And, you know, the hardest thing about backpacking and camping with this type of weather is that you kind of have to be prepared for the hotter temperatures as well as the cold temperatures. Of course, I don't expect to get below freezing tonight or any time while I'm out here, but you know, I'm still bringing a sleeping bag that you know, has a comfort of about 30 degrees, and it will go as low as 15. So it's pretty decent for this type of weather. You know, while there's the sun out and I'm exercising and doing things, you don't need very much, you know. I'm just wearing a nice wool base layer, which I'll probably be wearing for most of the spring, except for the summer maybe. And then this fleece on top. I also have my rain jacket, which is really great for windy conditions. So believe it or not, you can really retain the heat, your body heat, when you wear one of those jackets. So you really don't need that much in terms of insulation. So I'm not bringing a heavy down coat or jacket, which would get me through freezing temperatures. So, you know, it's like they say, if it gets cold enough, I'm just gonna have to get inside my sleeping bag and everything will be fine. But while I'm out, I have the base layer, the wool base layer, which is great. And when you sweat, it dries very quickly. So is the fleece, keeps you warm. But on very windy conditions, the wind goes right through it and makes it very cold. That's why I have the jacket. But I don't expect that I will need very much. So I'm doing a test to see if I brought the appropriate equipment for this. This is not going to be a hot tent trip, but it's a beautiful day. It's in the middle of mid-afternoon. I expect that this time of year there will be a lot of water running, so let's see how it goes. You know, the last time I trekked through here, I believe it was under similar temperature or weather conditions, but it was very, very windy. There was a lot of fallen trees, a lot of debris. Even heard a couple of trees falling as I was on the trail, which was pretty darn scary. But no such conditions today. And in the woods, there's not that much of a breeze either, but I expect that there will be certain places up on the mountain where it will get colder and there will be more wind. So we'll see. But you can see that there's a lot of fallen trees out here. So this hill that you see here behind me is where I'm going to be camping at. And it's pretty cool. From up there, I can see down here, but I can actually see when people are crossing down here. So I came prepared this time because there's an amazing view from there. So I brought my binoculars today. So I'll be checking out the scenery from up there. And I'll be checking out who's coming to the neighborhood down here. We're headed up there. I see a little water trickling down on the trail, so that's a good sign. That tells me there's gonna be a little bit of a stream closer to where I'm at. Let's keep heading up. All right, I made it to the campsite. Found a nice flat spot right here. Sun is still pretty high. It's a beautiful afternoon. Nice breeze. Let's get our tent set up. So I'm gonna take the pump. This will attach with the valve here. Will attach directly to the sleeping bag. So we're gonna attach the valve right here, right to this valve right here. Okay. How about that? So once we have the valve attached to the pad, basically Get a little air in. And we pump. Probably need about 10 of these. So the reason I like to use this pump, this air pump right here, this air bag to fill the pad, it's always recommended either this or one of those little tiny battery powered ones that they have. And so you want to avoid blowing the air from the mouth into the pad for a couple of reasons. Because of the humidity that comes out of your oxygen, your lungs, I guess. So you'll be pumping a lot of humid air into the pad, and this air will diminish the insulating properties of the pad slightly, for one, and also the humidity eventually will help to build up some mold, and you don't want to get mold inside your pad. You want to minimize the amount of humidity that goes into the pad by using an external pump. So I brought a sandwich from home. Turkey and cheese on flatbread. This is probably going to spoil my dinner, but I couldn't eat before. I was just too excited to get here. Couldn't be bothered to eat. Okay, tent is set. Had my lunch. Next order of business. Let's get some wood. Yeah, so I collected some wood here. I found a few bigger pieces. Didn't need to use the saw at all, but I'll probably need the saw to cut some of these bigger ones later into smaller pieces. But there's just so many smaller sized twigs everywhere. It's just time consuming going up and down the hill getting them, because right here there's not much. So I gotta go a little ways. So back and forth, probably be a good half hour collecting this. I have a good bit here, but I'll need a little more depending on how much time I want to burn this. But I could just keep feeding these little twigs. You know, I don't really need big pieces of wood, as long as I have plenty of the smaller ones, right? So the next order of business here, I'm gonna hang my food bag. The place here where people hang their food is a little ways away, and I'm fortunate enough to have a bunch of trees here. They're pretty high that I can hang my food. So let's do that. Check it out. For the food bag, basically we need a couple of items. We need a bear hang little bag, which I'm gonna fill with rocks. Okay, then I'm gonna tie my rope. So I have some cordage here. This is about, I don't know, 25, 30 feet maybe. That's long enough to throw about 20 feet up up high. Maybe I got about 50 feet up. And so we're gonna throw this over the tree, or a tree limb. It's about 20 feet high or so that when I pull it, I can hang it at least 12 feet high. That will be too far for any animals, bears, whatever, to try to stand up and grab it. So let's find a tree that we can hang this on. So here's a pretty good tree limb. If I don't get my bag stuck in that, that should be a pretty good 25 feet high. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I got my rocks in the sack and I have my rope. So I'm gonna tie the rope to the sack and I'm gonna try to swing it over that limb right there. It doesn't seem very high here, but there's a slope down. So right about there is about 25 feet, so that's pretty good. I'm only about 50 feet from my tent. Not ideal. You want to be 150 feet at least, but I don't feel like looking for anything. This is pretty good right here. So let's do it. Okay. All right, you ready? Now, of course, you want to hang on to the end so that your rocks don't fly everywhere, like I've done multiple times. All right, let's see. Oh, all right, see? That's exactly what you don't want to do. Okay, good practice. Okay, ready? This is attempt number 2. That works. So the end of the day is approaching. Not quite sunset yet, but I'm setting up for a beautiful sunset, I think. Beautiful end of afternoon. I've already talked to a bunch of people on the phone. I got a bunch of wood. I'm all set. Drank a lot of water. So I got a little time to kill. So I came down the hill to get another liter of water right from the stream here. Luckily, right at the spot here is where the water is flowing a little bit. There is some water running right here. So I'm gonna get a liter of water. That way I still have another liter of water that I brought from home, filtered water, so I can drink all of that. And this liter here will be extra. So I'll use it for cooking and, breakfast tomorrow, coffee. I can boil for dinner tonight and everything. So nice to know that there's water here. I'm gonna go ahead and get some water, and I'll head up the hill, back up, and get ready for the sunset. You notice that I have my rain jacket on. There's a lot of wind. It's very windy up there, and it gets chilly. I still have just the base layer, the wool base layer, and the fleece on top. So as it gets below 50 with the wind, it gets a little chilly. But with the jacket, it's awesome. My body heat is keeping me nice and warm, so I don't need any more layers. Just protection from the wind, really. So that was another test I wanted to run, and so far I haven't had to wear any more layers. So I suspect this will be fine for the rest of this trip. So I just came over here for the sunset. I love this sunset at this spot. And the day is coming to a close. I mean, it's going to be dark soon. I'm going to have my headlamp, and I'm going to head back to camp and set up a fire and have a little dinner, maybe a little later. Hey guys, so here's a little update. I nearly burned down my tent. I did such a good job with the fire that when I realized that I had put my tent way too close to the fire and it got too big and there were sparks flying, and I had to, number one, put out the fire, and two, stand guard for every little speckle of spark that flew off the fire until it was low enough that I could put it out with water and whatnot. So big lesson learned there. Also, it's very windy right now, so the wind also it really helps with the fire, and the wood is dry, so that was that. It was a little scary, too scary for me. but all is well. And now, I have a lot of great wood and no fire. So, so be it. And I didn't feel like setting up for a fire anywhere else. It was too windy. But I had the windbreaker on, and it felt great. So I listened to several videos for my sociology class. And I walked around and I exercised. So definitely used the time, and it was time well spent. So here I am boiling some water in the vestibule. Feels great. There's no wind. So, I'm going to have my lasagna dinner. And I may or may not talk to you until tomorrow. Have a good night. Hi, good morning. It's chilly this morning. Not quite as windy as it was last night, but chilly. Had to put my third layer, my mid-weather jacket on. As I said, I didn't bring my down jacket, but it would have been handy, I guess, yesterday at a few spots when it was really cold, but this has done the job, really. I haven't been cold. I slept really well through the night. Not all through the night. I woke up several times, like I usually do anyways. But I was able to have my sleeping bag opened like a quilt for most of the night. Didn't bother me at all. It was nice and toasty through the night. I think the temperature was in the low 40s. So I'm charging my devices now. I'm planning on doing a short little excursion. Last time I was here, there was some ice on the descent of the spot that I wanted to go check out, the bear cave. And I thought the risk was too high to attempt, but I'm gonna try to do it today. So it'll be a short excursion for an hour or so, and then I'm gonna pack up and go. I had to go get more water this morning for another short excursion to the stream there. I guess my dinner last night used up almost half a liter. Almost. And it wasn't even all that good. The lasagna was definitely didn't pass the test, so it will not be one I'll be bringing again. In fact, I only ate half of it because it was just not that great. And then I went to sleep. I went to sleep late, almost 11 o'clock, or a little later than that. So I'm gonna make some coffee now. I got plenty of water. I'm gonna make some coffee and eat my breakfast as quickly as possible, and try to get active. I don't want to leave here too late today. Oh, this is the best part of my morning. This morning coffee. Oh God, I love this part. The Mountain House scrambled eggs is one of my favorites in the morning. They also make the really nice oatmeal with peanut butter and bananas. So good. Brought the bread and butter. There is no breakfast without bread and butter. There's the shelter right there. That's the trail with the blue markers. That's the New York Long Path. Okay, so we've set off on the long path headed east. Just taking a little bit of water and my cameras so I can take some pictures and document this little trip. And I head down about 1,000 feet here, more or less, to the descent, going to the bear cave. Let's see if we can make it down this time. This is a 30 feet drop right here. If I were a climber, I would love this wall. Yeah, this is the part that was quite icy. Doesn't look too treacherous. Right, so we're here at the edge. There's quite a bit of accumulated water over there. Last time I was here, there was no water there. Almost looks like a little tiny lake, but I think it's just because of all the rain. Eventually, I think that will go away, because that's not a natural stream over there. It's just a low-lying area. But I don't see any ice here. Doesn't look as bad now. So I'm gonna go down here and check out what it looks like down there. Let's go. Okay, here we go. See, when there's a lot of ice here and you don't have a place to put your hands, kind of scary. It's not so bad. Woo! There's some caves down here. And we made it. Not bad at all. But with the ice, it's pretty scary. I guess the long path goes that way. There's some caves over here. Check it out. I wonder what it would be like to camp out down here. Sweet. Nice and flat right there. If you don't mind the visitors, you may get visitors down here. Another little flat spot right here. Oh wow, there's actually a fireplace right there. Sweet. Sweet. Absolutely. Oh, another one right here. Explore a little further, because there's an unmarked trail down this way that goes around the backside, meets up with the Meno mine at the other end. I want to see what that's all about. This is my first time exploring this area. Uncharted territory here. This is technically a shortcut to get to the campsite, so if I'm happy with this trail, maybe next time I can just take this little shortcut, depending on how it is right there where the drop happens. Let's see. Really, the trail goes way down there. There's a drop here and there's a big drop there. Let's see what that's like. Well, I wish I had my walking sticks here. Of course, one of them is holding up my tent. Both of them are actually, but okay. Yeah. It's this way. Maybe it's gonna bypass that huge wall right there. Ooh, it's getting warm. Look at that. We have a little stream here. Yeah, maybe that water is streaming from that little mini lake over there. Okay. Sort of halfway through the descent. Let's see if we can navigate the trail from this point forward. It's a pretty decent trail, actually. Still sort of on a descent. It's a pretty decent little trail. It's unmarked, so no chance of finding any of this at night for sure, but seems to be leading me to the trail. Hey, what do you know? It's not too bad at all. Yeah, kind of looks like pretty well established trail. Hey, this is the Menomine. Here we go. This is it. This is it. Right through there. Awesome. Wow. Pretty cool, guys. Pretty cool. All right, I made it to the Menomine right here. Pretty decent descent here, very decent actually. The trail was pretty well established. Now the question is, do I want to go back the way that I came and explore the way back, or do I want to go around back to the regular way, which is how I usually get up there, because I need to get up top. I did have the trace on my watch, so I'm gonna test that out, I think, and head back through the bear cave. Yeah. Let's just challenge ourselves, shall we? That's what I came here for. All right, well, here we go. We're gonna go head it back up the way we came, up to the bear cave, climb the wall. Let's see how that goes. So I marked the way down here. It was about 0.4 miles. About 300 feet of descent. And my watch is retracing it very nicely. I never used this feature before, but it's pretty cool actually. It's guiding me right back on the direction that I came from. Loving it. Very handy for those expeditions off trail. All right. Oh, I made it. Nice. Yeah, probably could climb through there. Okay. Little rock scrambling. No big deal. I have conquered the Bear Cave path. Pretty happy about that. Successful expedition. It's a little short walk back to the camp. Get my stuff together. Get ready to go. Oh, there it is. Safe and sound. Hi guys. So I'm all packed up, getting ready to go. It was a easy pack today. Only took me 30 minutes. Always sad to leave. It's a beautiful day. We're in the mid 50s, actually almost 60 degrees. This has been an interesting journey. Here are the biggest takeaways from this trip. I wanted to test a few different things, and all successful tests. So things I learned and picked up for this trip: do not set up your tent close to the fire. Okay, this is something I learned last night. Almost set my tent on fire by setting it up too close to the fireplace, and sparks were flying as the fire was going, and there was a lot of wind. And yeah, I was worried that a spark would fly onto my tent, but thankfully that never happened, and I was forced to put out the fire and forfeit all the wood that I had picked up because I didn't feel like moving my fire. So that's the first big lesson for this trip. Second is, the windy conditions make a huge difference. So I was expecting 40s and 50s. So I packed a couple of base layers, a base layer and a fleece and a mid-weather jacket. And it was just enough. But with the wind, I definitely needed the windbreaker, the raincoat, to break the wind and keep the body heat. And that was good. That felt nice and warm. But definitely didn't expect it to be quite that chilly with all that wind. I mean, we were in the 40s, and with the wind, the real feel was below 30. So below the freezing line. The third one was I successfully tested the retrace feature of my watch. It worked like a charm, and I went around the back trail. I reached the bottom, and I was able to retrace my steps back real nicely with the retrace from the watch. So good test. If I get into a nighttime situation or something that I'm not sure where I am, the retrace is gonna come in very, very handy. So 3 major lessons for this trip. I consider this an excellent learning expedition. Wrapping up the first camp of the spring 2026. I hope to be back soon, and I want to thank you guys for joining this time. Thanks so much, and until the next one.